Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. We are finally here. The long awaited wait is not officially over, but it is so close to being over, as the Iowa Hawkeyes, at the time of me recording this, are 2 days away, actually less than 2 days away from competing in their first game of the season against South Dakota State. And I wanted to use this opportunity to create a video stating my expectations and my prediction for the Iowa Hawkeyes going into this season. I may also give you my initial power rankings, even though there's already been two games. Two teams have already played, Illinois and, three teams, Illinois, Nebraska, and Northwestern. But I will give you possibly my power rankings based off of talent on each roster, and based off of that, how I think they should perform. But most of this video is going to be my expectations for the Iowa Hawkeyes and my prediction for the season. So let's just get right into it. I have been alluding to this for many, many videos that I have created since the end of last season to now. I think that this Iowa Hawkeye team is very loaded. From top to bottom, it is loaded. I have also said that the depth on this team, especially at positions like pretty much the entire defense, but positions like the defensive line, the linebacking core, hell, even the DBs. I mean, all over the place, it's loaded. You couple that with some of the returnees that Iowa got that were not expected in Riley Moss and Sam Laporta, who were likely draft picks. Okay. People forget that. I mean, those two guys were likely draft picks. Okay. You couple that with the fact that so Iowa would have already had a talented roster had those guys, neither of those guys returned to the Iowa Hawkeyes. You couple that with the fact that Iowa has been recruiting as well as they did at the beginning of Kirk Ferentz's tenure. I would argue even better than at the beginning of Kirk Ferentz's tenure. And this is a very talented roster, guys. There's no other way to put it. This is a really talented roster. And I would go and this is ultimately the real reason that I have come to the prediction that I will share with you guys momentarily. But you even look at the what would be considered positions of weakness for the Iowa Hawkeyes: wide receiver, running back, offensive line. You look at those positions and you say, and you really evaluate the talent at each position group, especially when you look back at recruiting rankings and you go, there's actually quite a bit of talent here, especially in the wide receiver group. Iowa fans, I'm here to tell you right now that the wide receivers that the Iowa Hawkeyes have are probably the best collection, definitely when you look at recruiting rankings, of wide receivers that the Hawkeyes have had in a long, long time. I mean, almost every single one of the guys, especially the scholarship guys, had offers from multiple Power Fives. If you look back at how Iowa used to recruit wide receivers, they would only get two-star guys that they basically had to take a chance on, who had offers from Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, and all these schools. Okay. Whereas now all the guys are high 3 stars to 4 stars. And if they're not that, they had a good amount of offers as well to boot. And I'll just take you through them. Deontay Vines. You know what? Matter of fact, let's pull it up and let me pull it up their recruiting profiles here real quick for you guys. We can just start here with Jacob Bostic, the most recent Iowa wide receiver commitment out of Illinois, 6'3", and he had great offers across the board. Illinois, Louisville, Let's see who else he had here. Pitt, Navy, Cincinnati. So he had some good offers. And, Brody Breck, same thing. Deontay Vines, same thing. I believe Deontay Vines had Wisconsin after him. So a lot of the guys here that Iowa recruited, and credit to Kelton Copeland, I've said this many times, have been solidly recruited, solidly ranked. And so because of this, at the positions that the Iowa Hawkeyes would be considered weak at, I think that there's no reason, given the talent that they have, that they cannot be productive position groups. Okay. Now, granted, the wide receiver group ended up losing Charlie Jones, who, in my estimation, the biggest impact of losing him will be in the return game. They lost Tyrone Tracy. But again, look at the offers Deontay Vines had: Boston College, Army, Navy, Syracuse, some good offers. Okay. So, and then we take another look at the running back position. I am very high on Gavin and LaShawn Williams. I think the running back room is as healthy as it has ever been. They have talent there. They have athleticism. They have, bruisers. And then we go to the offensive line, and yet again, there's talent on the offensive line, and it's year 2 of the new offensive line coach at the helm, being able to teach his group on how things need to be, coach them up, develop them, the whole 9 yards. Okay. So even the position groups that would be considered weak, I see as potentially being decent. Okay. Or at the very least, having the talent to be good. And I think the wide receiver group, I'll go a step further and say I think the wide receiver group is one of the, if you look at the recruiting rankings, is one of the best position groups on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, is that my expectation for them? No. But again, looking at the recruiting rankings, they have a lot of solid guys in that room. As we transition here to the schedule, I don't think that this is the hardest schedule Iowa has ever played. I remember at the end of last season, I had many fans saying the schedule looks super hard. It looks very difficult. Ohio State, Michigan. And I got you. That's not going to be a cakewalk. Okay. But this is what I will say about those games. Well, let me back up here. Number one, I don't base my decision off of the schedule, because the schedule, you don't know how it's going to shake out. You don't know how easy or tough it's truly going to be until the season starts. There's many examples. You just look at Iowa's schedule last year. It looked super tough. But after about 8 weeks into the season, it looked less difficult. Okay. So you can only gauge that after a couple of weeks into the season. We look at this. So that's first and foremost. The other thing is, when it comes to Ohio State and Michigan, all I need to be able to do as an Iowa fan is ask myself, do I think that Iowa has the roster and the talent to be able to compete and at least make a game of it with those two teams? And the answer is yes. Of course, the answer is yes. I know Iowa got totally drudgeoned last year against Michigan, but I really do think they have the talent and the athleticism to compete with them. Now, if I were to just answer this based off of purely on the talent that Iowa has, I would say 10, 11 wins, no problem. Not no problem, but that they could do it. When I add in the schedule, it does bring it down a little bit. Ultimately, for the Iowa Hawkeyes, it comes down to them winning the games that they are supposed to win. If Iowa wins the games they are supposed to win, then they will be around the 9-10 win mark for the season, competing for the West Division title. So let's take this game by game. South Dakota State, I believe Iowa's going to win. I did the game preview there. Iowa State, it's at home. I think Iowa wins this game. I think it'll be closer than it needs to be just because it's a rivalry, but I think Iowa wins this game. I want to add one more thing here, okay? Another reason that I am so high on this Iowa team is because their defense, I think, is going to be even better than it was last year. So, regardless of the offense, if you have an elite defense, you're going to win 8 games minimum with a chance to win a couple more as well. I believe Iowa will beat Iowa State. I believe they will beat Nevada. I think they will beat Rutgers. When they go into this Michigan game, I expect Iowa to be ranked, and I expect them to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0. And at that point, all bets are off. At Kinnick? Are you kidding me? I'm going to pick Iowa to win this one by 3 points. At Illinois, that'll bring Iowa to 6-0. Ohio State, I don't think they will win. It'll be on the road. I think that'll be too much. They dropped that one. I think they beat Northwestern for a second year in a row, 7-1. I believe they will beat Purdue, although, again, this game will be harder than it should be or closer than it should be, 8-1. And as like so many other games, it really comes down to Iowa versus Wisconsin. And I think Iowa wins this game as it's at home. They are 9-1. I think, unfortunately, they lose to Minnesota, 9-2. And I think they beat Nebraska to be 10-2 with a chance to make it to the Big Ten West or the Big Ten title game. They are my pick to be in the Big Ten title game. Absolutely. I think Iowa is the most talented team in the West. I don't even think it's close. Matter of fact, I'm shocked at how much confidence and faith the media has in Wisconsin. Now, I'm not shocked because they always do, but I don't see, anyways, it's not that they're bad, but I don't see where this like resounding faith in Wisconsin to be the number 1 team in the West has come from. You know, it's not like Iowa has lost so many guys from a year ago from the team that was better than Wisconsin. In fact, no, they didn't. They returned a bunch of guys. So I'm going 10-2, 10-2. I could see 9-3. As long as Iowa wins the games they are supposed to do to win, they will be fine. I'm going to go 10-2. I could see 9-3, but 10-2, I feel very not confident in, but I feel okay about it. 9-3, I could see that. Those are my 2 predictions. I could 8-4. To me, 8-4 would be a letdown for the Iowa Hawkeyes this season. 8-4 in the regular season. I would say that would be a letdown. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna do the East. Well, you know what? I guess I can do the East. Let's pull up the standings here and I'll give you guys my power rankings. All right, guys, my power rankings going into the season, largely based off of talent. And I will admit there are some teams I'm more familiar with than others. Let's start with the East. Ohio State is the top dog. They're number 1. Number 2, I would go with Michigan. Number 3, I would go with Penn State. I think Penn State, I'm comfortably going to be going with Penn State here. Michigan State will be number 4, not because I think Michigan State is great. Matter of fact, I don't. I told you guys all last season that I think Mel Tucker is not for real. I don't think he's a legit head coach. I think he benefited from a schedule and from the recruiting that he had from the previous regime. I'll go with Michigan State 4. 5, I will go with Rutgers. 6, I will go with Maryland. And 7, I'll go with Indiana. Now, every year, it's basically tiers, okay? And in the Big Ten East, Tier 1 would be Ohio State and Michigan. Tier 2 would be Penn State and Michigan State, maybe Rutgers could be in there. And then there's tier 3, the bottom, Indiana, Maryland. There's always tiers to this, folks. In the West, number 1, Iowa, top team in the Big Ten West. Number 2, I would go with Minnesota. I actually think Minnesota is the second most talented team. Their roster, you look at their quarterback, their running back. Their running back was one of the best running backs in the country before he got injured. Okay. Tanner Morgan. So I'm going to go with Minnesota, number 2. I'll go with Wisconsin, number 3. Number 4, I'm going to go with Purdue. Number 5, I'm going to go with Northwestern. 6, I'm going with Nebraska. And 7, I'm going with Illinois. And quite frankly, I could have switched Illinois and Nebraska. All right, guys, we're so close to being here. I thank all of you for being here with me every step of the way. This channel is growing like crazy. You guys have made this a dream come true for me. I can't wait to see how big this can go and how far this can go, if that makes any sense. Can't wait for it. I do believe I will be doing a post-game live show. I might do a pre-game live show like I did last year. We'll see. So, be watching for that. If you want to hop on and talk some pregame, if I decide to do that. As always, like, comment, share. You know the drill. Be sure to subscribe. Help your boy out. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In fact, our feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. See you guys next time. And of course, go Hawks.